A word through Dr. David Oyedepo that changed my life. A word through Dr. David Oyedepo that changed my life. Life is made with words. We are all made of different words that's been spoken over us over the years. Life is made of words. You may never have realized it, but everything about you is a combination of words. Right from the time you were born, your parents began to speak words over you. Your teachers, different people that have come across you in life, began to speak over your life. So your life is a combination of words. If we can dissect your spirit, we'll be able to pick words that were spoken over your life and has made who you are. Now, for example, when a child goes to school, okay, a child in an engineering school, in the university, certain words are spoken over that student. And by the time the student is through with 5 years of course in the engineering class, certain words are formed inside that student. Someone that goes to an engineering class can never think like a nurse. Someone that goes to the nursing school, certain words are spoken that made the person a nurse. The person that attends the nursing school can never reason like an engineer because certain words were spoken. And so we are products of words. We are products of words. Now, I want to begin my story by helping to understand how I actually began to follow Bishop David Oyedepo. It began very early in life. I was about 15, 16 years old at that time. I remember those days, my parents were living in Umuara in Nigeria. And so, one fateful day, I heard that he was coming to visit the church in Umuara then. Now, before that time, I had an elder sister who was a student in University of Ilorin, was attending the campus fellowship. And every time she comes home, she will sit down with her friends and they were talking about different ministers that came to minister to them in their fellowship. And one of the key names was Bishop David Oyedepo. And so that, aroused in me an interest. I just began to feel, who is this man? How do I see him? How do I hear him? I mean, I was not even sure that I was born again at that time. I was at 15 years old, 16 years old, my parents were Baptist. So I heard that he was coming to Living Faith Church or Money Yepe Hotel in Omaro. So I just went there to go and see. I didn't go there to be part of the program. I just went there to go and let me even see this man. So I went there on that fateful day. They were having the program. And I saw this man in flowing gown, the agbada that they wear in Nigeria. That's all I went to see. But from that moment, there arose in me a desire and an hunger to hear from this man. I still remember that there's this magazine, Sword of the Spirit Ministry magazine, and I saw some of his articles. And from that tender age, I began to read those articles, those writings by Bishop David Oyedepo. But along the line, after I left secondary school, every time I go to school and I'm coming back home, I used to spend some days in my uncle's house in Ilorin. And in my uncle's house, we have these books, magazines rather, that are called Int magazine. For those of us who have those days, there's this romantic magazine called Int magazine. So every time, as young as I was, I began to read those magazines, and they were absurd stories, romantic stories that you can't believe ever happened to anybody. But I never knew that I was reading those romantic magazines. It was already affecting my mind. And so along the line, when I became serious as a Christian, when I began to believe God to live right as a believer, I began to struggle with it. I began to have wrong thoughts, thoughts that I'm not supposed to entertain, began to flood my mind. And so I had a word by Dr. David Oyedepo. That word was a word that liberated me. And I'm going to quote him verbatim. He said, "You cannot feed your mind on junk and expect to be a treasure. You cannot feed your mind on junk and expect to be a treasure. I felt that was the word I needed. And so from that moment on, that word set me free. I realized from that word that my mind was important. I realized if I'm going to become responsible, if I'm going to become purposeful, my mind is crucial about it. You cannot feed your mind on junk and expect to be a treasure. And I wanted to be a treasure. I wanted to be a blessing. I wanted to be someone that touches lives. Like I said earlier, my parents were Baptists and we were attending a Baptist church. And in those days, we were having the Baptist Student Fellowship. So I wanted to minister, I wanted to be a blessing, I wanted to teach in Sunday school. But my mind, there was conflict in my mind. And so, as soon as I read that word by Bishop David Oyedepo, that word became a liberating word for me. You cannot feed your mind on junk and expect to be a treasure. Your mind is important. Your mind is the door to your spirit. Your mind is the breathing ground of your destiny. Whatever goes on in your mind will show up in your life. Whatever goes on in your mind will show up in your life. Your mind is like a garden. Whatever you plant in your garden will eventually grow and you harvest a crop. One thing about the mind is this: the mind is not selective. Whatever you expose your mind to, your mind will absorb. And once you retain that material, it will germinate, it will begin to grow and produce results in a life. And so that word became my liberating word. I began to run with that word. I realized I needed to work on my mind. I realized I needed to do something about my mind. And that began a journey of reading Christian materials. It began a journey of, reading books that changed my life. I still remember those days. I came across a magazine by Joyce Meyer, and I read in that magazine also, it said, where your mind goes, your life will automatically follow. That was like a build-up on the what I received from Dr. David Oyedepo. Where your mind goes, your life will automatically follow. And so if you don't control your mind, you can't control your life. Why? Because your mind is like the steering of your life. Whatever controls your mind will control your life. And so from that point on, I became selective about the films I watch, the music I listen to, and the materials I consume, because I realized that my mind is absorbing them. My mind is going to germinate them eventually. You cannot feed your mind on junk and expect to be a treasure. That word changed my life. That word began a journey of Christian growth for me. I began to read my Bible. I began to read books. I began to feed my spirit. Your mind is crucial. Romans chapter 12 verse 2. It said, don't be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And so if you're going to live victorious as a child of God, your mind is important. You must protect your mind. You must feed your mind. You must ensure that the right materials enter into your mind. You cannot feed your mind on junk and expect to be a treasure. Don't just sit down and watch any film because everybody is watching it. You must be selective. The music you listen to affects your mind. If greatness is your decision, if purpose is your choice, you need to guide your mind. Guide your heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. I want to encourage you, I want to challenge you. Protect your mind. Your mind is your destiny. Your mind affects everything about you. If your mind is dirty, your life will be dirty. If your mind is polluted, your life will be polluted. If your mind is full of junks, your life will produce junks. Garbage in, garbage out. Garbage in, garbage out. And so your mind must be protected. Your mind must be renewed, and your mind must be fed. Write books, write material, write music, and when you feed your mind right, it will channel your course in the path of destiny. I want to encourage you. Make sure you like this video. make sure you turn on your notification and make sure you subscribe to this channel so that every time I drop a new video, you will get it immediately. And don't forget, their hearts shall be filled with the knowledge of the glory of God as waters cover the sea. Share this with somebody. Don't keep it to yourself. We are not reservoirs. We are rivers. Don't forget, subscribe to this channel. I will see you in your destiny. God bless you.